Hey guys, real quick before we get into this video and these articles, hey buddy, Malachi, he's doing fantastic. We just got to put weight on him. What I need to get out to you is our sister Nancy, her brother-in-law went to the hospital today. Come on, Tinker. What are you doing, girl? Come on, let's get up. Come on, you all right? Get that off your head. Here you go. Nancy's brother-in-law, Toney Newton, went to the hospital today. That's you, little girl. With chest pains. They don't know what's going on with him yet, as far as I know. I haven't heard from Nancy. I've been out at the lease. We got to get some spots prepped and set up. I had to put out some feed, put out another camera, but I don't have a good enough phone signal at the lease to do anything live. So please, you all come together and let's come into agreement and pray for Tony's healing, that the doctors find nothing. Maybe it's something minor like gas, but the Lord God, the Most High Yahweh, He's got the power and authority to wash away anything regardless of what it is or how bad it is. Let's pray that Tony receives a fullness of the Lord's hands laid upon him and bring healing to him. I just want to get that out to you. Nancy's part of our family. We're bonded with her like we are so many of you. We love her. She's part of us. And her brother-in-law is part of her, so we love him as well. And we just want to make sure that the Lord lays his hands on Tony, and we have the Holy Spirit wrapped all inside that situation, whatever may be going on with him, that it turns out to glorify God and to benefit Tony and his wife. Guys, thank you all. I hope you enjoy this video that's coming right behind this. Got some articles. It's some odd stuff, some weird stuff, but it's what we do. All of this supernatural, paranormal, cryptic, whatever it may be. You know, we're just into the fascinating and the different. Those parts of our world that have been unseen for so many years, and now it's coming to the forefront. Hope you guys enjoy it. Y'all have a wonderful day. God bless you. I love you, and I'll definitely be seeing you guys soon. Now on with the video. Guys, I'm out in an area at our lease that is overrun with pigs. This spot, I'm going to put a camera up. I'm going to put some more corn out. I put a little out yesterday to check it, and all of it's gone. And we got some tracks here big as a coffee cup. So we're going to see what's coming through right here, and I've got some articles to share with you also. Just give me a second to get the camera up and the feed out, and we'll get started on it. This won't take long at all. We've got some enormous pigs coming through here. It's getting late, and there's a pretty good chance we may end up having a pig come in here on me. I hope not. That is definitely what I'm not wanting. I guess I'm gonna I think I'm gonna put the camera at an angle right here. We've got some pretty serious pigs coming through right here. I think the camera would be fine right there. Yeah, that may work. That may work. Let's put some corn out, then we'll get on with these shares. Get these. Oh. We're gonna get these pigs. We got 7 pigs on camera right here that were between 400 and 500 pounds. I've never seen, I've seen pigs over 500, but just a handful. And here we got 7 in one picture. And that is unbelievable. So, I'm gonna try to get them coming in here. We can do something about them and get them. I'm only putting 1 bucket out. All right, now we can get over here, and we're gonna go over some of these articles. We got some good ones, as always. Thanks to Brother Don. That water's black. Oh well. I don't have a towel with me. Got toilet tissue. I may not be able to do the article here. That sounds like pigs. I am armed, but I'm gonna get with it. See, this one has a lot of all right, we're gonna do this. This has pictures, and I'll bring it up and show you guys the pictures also. But this is on a little different note. This ain't the big guys. Oh, the mosquitoes are bad. Gnats are bad. All right, we're gonna go ahead and start on this. All right, this is titled Real People Accused of Being Monsters. The years is the 5th century AD to 1976. The locations is France, Cologne, Germany, Kilkenny, Ireland, Regent's Canal, England, Derry, Ireland, Bavaria, Germany, Haiti, Dillingen, Germany, and Kringa, Croatia. Information sources: eyewitness testimony, historical records, local legends, and researchers. The preface: devils, werewolves, witches, warlocks, and Frankenstein's monster are the stuff of Halloween fun, but that wasn't always the case. For each of these monsters, there have been many instances when real people were accused of being some of the most horrible monsters that humans have ever dreamed up. In most cases, they were everyday people living everyday lives until the unthinkable happened and the fingers pointed. The Waldensians, 12th century. In France, witchcraft is often referred to as Vauderie. It's a direct reference to the Waldensians of a 12th century Catholic sect declared heretical by the mainstream church. Their beef wasn't with the traditional beliefs of the Catholic faith, but rather the life of luxury and wealth enjoyed by the upper-class clergy. That seemed directly opposite to a lot of what they were teaching, and the Waldensians were having none of it. Speaking out against the Catholic Church wasn't a good idea, and so the entire group were branded as witches. There was no case of ignoring them in hopes they'd go away either. It was a war. A book called Incentives Against the Sect of Waldensians detailed how to identify, hunt, torture, and execute the members of the sect. There are only 4 copies left today, so good luck reserving at your local library, and it gets into some pretty dark stuff. The crusade waged against the Waldensians was one of the first of the large-scale witch hunts carried out by people who claimed the sect was in league with the devil to bring down the church. They were accused of everything from dancing beneath the night sky with demons to nightmare orgies and worshiping the devil. The sect remained active for a surprisingly long time, and by the time the Inquisition was gearing up for their witch hunts, Waldensians who had been captured and tortured into confessing all sorts of dark deeds had lent a considerable amount of credence to the idea they were in league with Satan. That put them squarely in the sights of the Inquisition, and that's one of the last places anyone would want to be. Peter Stubb, Sybil Stubb, and Katerina Trump, 1589. On Halloween in 1589, the werewolf of Bedburg was put to a horrible death for a supposed slew of crimes committed in lupine form in the environs of the German city of Cologne. Our knowledge of Peter Stubb comes from a single surviving account, and with many of the potential supplementary sources last to the ravages of time and war, interpretations are inevitably speculative. Stubb reportedly confessed under or facing torture to having practiced witchcraft. He claimed to have received a magical belt from the infernal powers, enabling him to transform into a wolf. The doomed man owned, during the quarter-century riot of sin that ensued, this youthful acquisition to rape, murder, cannibalism, incest, filicide, slaughtering livestock, and keeping a succubus in his bed. Authorities were unable to recover this potent belt and said that Satan must have reclaimed it. For these crimes, he was broken on the wheel, beheaded, and then burnt. The latter punishment shared with his daughter and his mistress, apparently implicated as accessories. Was there a real werewolf terrorizing the vicinity? Was Stubb an actual murderer with a supernatural cover story? Was he nursing a genuine delusion of lycanthropy? Did he back the wrong faith as strife over Protestantism rent Germany? Or was he just unluckily caught up in an instance of demonic hysteria? Whatever the individual circumstances of Stubbs' death might have been, it occurred during a surge of panic over the venerable superstition of werebeasts and shapeshifters, especially in France. Coincided with Europe's crisis of religious and political authority on the eve of the 30 Years' War. Yet this troubled period bore the germ of modernity, whose pervasive social changes would append, among other things, the idea of a real werewolf. As the 16th century closed, both medical and theological understandings of werewolfism increasingly located it in the realm of the psychological instead of the supernatural. Within a few years of Stubbs' torture, werewolves had left the hands of magistrates for those of doctors, bound eventually for the pens of screenwriters with Halloween Fair in mind. Alice Kyteler, 1324. Kyteler's Inn is a popular pub in Kilkenny, Ireland. Almost 8 centuries after it was founded, it's still a place for locals and tourists alike. It was also founded by a woman run out of town for being a witch. Alice Kyteler was born in the 13th century. Actual dates vary, and grew up to have a string of husbands and children. When one of her richer husbands became suddenly, inexplicably ill, he changed his will to leave his substantial assets entirely to Alice and her children, cutting out even his own children. It was the final straw, and jealous stepchildren. It was the final straw, and the jealous stepchildren got together to accuse Alice of being a witch. It makes you appreciate today's lawsuit-happy culture a bit more, no? The charges brought against her were gruesome, including sacrificing animals and leaving their pieces at the crossroads to summon Satan and making potions from the remains of the dead, and then giving them to anyone who wanted to help with their love life or general life problems. Clearly, with that kind of power, there was no way she didn't use it for herself. Alice was accused of killing the husbands that she had bewitched into falling in love with her in the first place, all because she had designs on the wealth. The accusations escalated, and by 1324, the church proclaimed the entire area to be under the influence of witchcraft. For the first time, practicing witchcraft was officially heresy, and what followed was a fight between Alice's secular allies and the church authorities. As per usual, the church won. And luckily, we think, unless she actually did kill people, Alice had plenty of time to get out of Ireland before the church gave the verdict. She fled to England, but the church wasn't done with those she left behind. One of her servants, Petronilla de Media, was burned at the stake for her association with a witch. Alice, meanwhile, was never heard from again. Giovanni Aldini, 1803. Everyone knows the story of Dr. Frankenstein and his monster, but you probably didn't know that Mary Shelley's inspiration for the misunderstood Hulk came from a very real scientist. Giovanni Aldini was the nephew of Luigi Galvani, the founder of galvanism, and the guy who did that creepy experiment with electrifying frog legs that made science class the most terrifying class. His nephew took it a few steps further and tried the experiments on an entire human body. That body was George Foster, a serious piece of work, hanged on January 18, 1803. His crime? Killing his wife and child, and then dumping them in Regent's Canal. For Aldini, the hanging was fortunate indeed. English law at the time forbid the practice of burying the bodies of those who had been hanged. Apparently, they smelled terrific. Foster had only been hanging an hour when Aldini deemed him perfect for his experiments, so he was quickly cut down and taken to the scientist's table. According to the Newgate calendar, Foster's body twitched from the moment electricity was applied. One of his eyes opened and his legs were set in motion. The official records also suggest that someone died of fright not long after seeing what had been a ghastly sight, making Foster officially a murderer from beyond the grave. Aldini had a legitimate reason for his experiments. He hoped that finding a way to apply electricity to a recently deceased person might help him develop a method to resuscitate drowning victims. He performed his experiments in England and on the continent, and while he undoubtedly gave countless people nightmares and sleepless nights, it was the College of Surgeons who finally managed to restart a heart. As usual, legit science trumps mad science. Abhartak, the 5th century. Information on just how real this person was is sketchy, but that's not entirely surprisingly. Record keeping from the 5th and 6th centuries leaves just a smidge to be desired. We do know Ireland was once ruled by a scattering of chieftains who staked a claim to lands and held their territories against intrusion from neighboring chieftains. In an area that's now the northern Derry, one of the chieftains was called Abhartak. No one liked him, as he was reportedly incredibly evil and rumored to have some sort of magical powers. The magic part might not be legit, but we can believe in someone so downright nasty. But we can believe in someone so downright nasty. He managed to ally all his neighbors against him. He was finally killed by a rival chieftain called Cathan, who buried him standing upright in his grave. The legends say he returned the next night and that he demanded his subjects pay him an entirely new type of tribute, a bowl of blood. Locals appealed to the monks at Namoyag, who told them he was a particular sort of undead called the Derg Diule, who drank blood and were impossible to kill. Instead, they needed to return him to a grave that he couldn't escape from, so they tracked him down, killed him with a wooden sword, and reburied him upside down. After adding ash twigs and thorns to the grave, it was sealed with a massive stone that's still there today. Most call it the Giant's Grave, but the ancient name is Licht Abhartak, or Abhartak's Sepulchre. How real is this story? We're not sure. Witnesses are hard to come by these days. But we do know that, even today, the land is supposedly still cursed. Attempts to clear it ended badly, and it's been at the center of all sorts of disagreements between the family that owns it. Is it a vampire's curse? We'd rather not find out by the sounds of him. Anneliese Michel, 1976. Born in Bavaria in 1952, Anneliese Michel is perhaps the last embodiment of Satan you'd expect. Michel was part of a devotedly religious family who believed that she needed to pay penance for her mother's sins. Her older sister was illegitimate, and when the 8-year-old girl died, the message was a clear one for the religious family. An even clearer sign came when Anneliese was 17 and she was diagnosed with epilepsy. The seizures got worse. She began showing classic signs of demonic possession. She heard voices telling her that she was damned. She asked for exorcisms, and she got worse and worse. Religious imagery sent her into a panic, and conventional medicines and treatments were no help. During her exorcism, various voices gurgled out of her, claiming to be anyone from Hitler, Nero of Rome, Judas, and Satan himself. Michel, or her demons anyway, violently refused food and water, instead spending her hours screaming, beating herself bloody, and licking up her own urine. Finally, she died of starvation and pneumonia on July 1st, 1976, weighing only 68 pounds. She was buried next to her sister in an area of the cemetery reserved for suicides, though the courts didn't agree, eventually charging and convicting her parents and the priests of negligent homicide. Still, when the Telegraph interviewed her mother before the release of The Exorcism of Emily Rose, a movie based on this incident, Anna Michel said, "I don't regret it. There was no other way." Clairvius Narcisse, 1952. Zombies are popular any time of the year, not just at Halloween. But they're all in good fun and not real, right? Not so fast. Clairvius Narcisse died in 1952, 2 days after checking himself into a hospital in Haiti. He'd been having trouble breathing, and after he died, his body was refrigerated for the 20 hours it took for his family to make arrangements to have him buried in their plot. Fast forward 18 years to Angeline Narcisse, who was in a local market when a man came up to her, introduced himself by a pet name she had called her brother and said that he was in fact her brother. This, of course, attracted considerable attention, and even the medical and psychiatric professionals that spoke with him agreed that he was, in fact, Clairvius Narcissus. And he had a hell of a story. I'm going to let this plane pass overhead. We're pretty close to an airport here. It's a very strange looking aircraft. Sorry about that. It's very hard to do any lengthy filming here. Okay. I'm going to read that previous sentence again. This, of course, attracted considerable attention, and even the medical and psychiatric professionals that spoke with him agreed that he was, in fact, Clairvius Narcissus, and he had a hell of a story. According to him, his brother had arranged for Clairvius to be drugged, abducted, and sold into slave labor as an actual zombie to get him out of the picture so Brother Dearest could get a bigger piece of their inheritance. Of course, how does one drug and zombify an actual human? Well, when a Harvard grad student investigated, he theorized that victims were given a potent mixture that contained things like nightshade, henbane, and various hallucinogens. The resultant state was one very much like death, and when they were exhumed and revived, the resultant brain damage made them behave much like the mindless, snuffling zombies we see on TV, without the hunger for brains as far as we know. I think I've heard about that one. Walpurga Halsman, 1587. There were plenty of people accused of witchcraft, but the accusations against Halsman were extra impressive in their completeness. Accused of being both a witch and a vampire, the multitasking Walpurga Halsman was burned at the stake on September 10, 1587 in Dillingen, Germany. We still have her testimony, which was given both at kindly questioning and also torture. A widow and a midwife, Halsman had been tending the women and children of the village for years. That made her undoubtedly valuable ally to the devil, whom she met and signed a pact with not long after she was widowed. Even though she fought the good fight against his temptations, she was eventually baptized and given a demonic familiar. It was that familiar and a lover who gave her a special salve that would kill anyone, mostly newborns, who touched it. Once the children were dead, she would dig up their remains and use them in her evil rituals. In some cases, she confessed that she would drink the blood of babies first, then spit it out when she next met the devil, so she could make more of the salve. Holy water protected women and children from her, but she reportedly had a way around that too. She would give holy water to her victims herself, which she had sabotaged by diluting it with some of her own evil water to it. Not surprisingly, she was found absolutely guilty on all counts and was sentenced to death by burning. But first, she was escorted through the city to 5 locations. At each stop, she was to be cut open with a hot iron before finally being burned and her ashes scattered in the nearest river. Executions back then were less efficient than they were messages to any demons watching from hell, mouths agape at what might happen to them if they dared trifle with the twisted creativity of humanity. Jurgrando, the mid-17th century. Jurgrando lived in the mid-17th century, Kringa, Croatia. According to witnesses of the time, Grando spent 16 years after his death returning to walk the night and visit his widow. After all, even vampires need love. Now, if Grando had kept it in the family, his reign on earth might have lasted a bit longer. However, there was apparently a bit of terrorizing going on too, and it was said that Grando would spend some nights going from door to door in the village, knocking. Anyone who answered would die soon after. It's not clear why the mayor waited 16 years to act. Typical red tape bureaucracy, probably. but he finally assembled a group of 9 men to open Grando's grave. What they found was a classic vampire, a corpse with a rosy complexion and one that definitely had not decayed in any way. Their first attempt to kill him by staking him through the heart with a hawthorn branch failed, so they decided to cut off his head. The vampire started screaming, but the beheading worked, and Count Grando was no more. Even today, the town remembers him with a vampire bar and a plaque dedicated to those 9 that put an end to the vampire's nightly exploits, supposedly. After all, you never know with the dead. Amen to that. And I'm going to show you guys the pictures. Let me put this in here. I'm going to go over there and show you all the pictures, and then we'll get out of here. I keep hearing sounds back over here, and I don't really care for them. I can't move very fast in this mess. Pretty sure it's pigs. Almost positive it's pigs. Okay, I'm going to try to stand behind the camera. It's all bushes right here, so I have to stand back here where I can hold it up where you guys can see it. All right, 5th century thorn bush of Licht Abertarch sepulchre in Derry, Ireland, supposedly a Daredile, a vampire. These words are hard for me to read. This is 1324 Alice, that's the witch, Kyteler, late 1400s, woodcut of woman leaving an altar with a demon riding the tail of her coat, a sign of being a witch. Oh, there it is. I was looking over this dude. Oops. (1589) woodcut of Peter Stubbs' execution as a supposed werewolf and witch, along with the burning of his daughter and mistress as accessories in Germany. That's gruesome. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm trying to get it up close enough. They got the beheading here, but they got his head on a stake up here. That's crazy. Here's another one of the witch, Alice Kyteler. Kyteler, 1626, woodcut of a witch causing natural disasters of rain and fire. The witch is riding a sky beast. Bottom picture is a 1626 woodcut of the Court of the Devil. I'm trying to hold it where you can see both the pictures. Oh, these bugs are horrible. Good gracious. Ooh, what is this? Mid-1600s, Your Grando, a supposed vampire 16 years after his death. That's creepy. Golly, 16 years been dead and he still looks like that. Wow. Yeah, that may be something to that one. 1803, illustration of Giovanni Aldini's experiments in England, the real inspiration for Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Bizarre. Gee whiz. Oh, these bugs are eating me up. 1952, Clairvius Narcissus, supposed zombie after dying 18 years previously in Haiti. Sorry guys, these bugs are wearing me out. I'm trying not to. 1976, demonic possessed Annalise Michael with her mother Anna in Bavaria. I remember watching that story. It's horrible. I believe the Lord's received her back into his kingdom. And that's it. Sit on the pictures. Oh, I'm stuck. Oh. Guys, thank you all for being here. I've got quite a bit more work to do out here. And so while I'm out here, I'll probably knock out a couple of these articles at a time. It's just easier to bring them with me and do them out here than it is to wait till I get home and try and get cleaned up and showered and get some food in me and all that good stuff. Then I'm too tired to do anything. But I'm going to get out of here. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not over there. The microphone's right here on me. The transmitter's in my pocket. So I don't know that it's going to pick that up or not. Can y'all hear that? That's there. That's right back there. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to get this camera down and we're going to leave. Thank you again. God bless you. I love you and I'll definitely be seeing you soon. If I can get out. Spider webs. Come on, please go in there. I don't want to be out here now. Anytime I get nervous, start getting scared, things happen where I can't get packed up in a hurry. I gotta get the camera and I gotta get this camera and turn that camera on. I was gonna walk away and leave it. Can't do that. Oh, these bugs. I was gonna probably, well, it shouldn't be too loud. Let's get this thing on so I can get out of here. Ow! That was a root. You can see the pig tracks right here. Whoa, that was back there. Okay. I'll show you guys next time. Come on, turn on. There we go. I'll show you guys the pig tracks later. That was right back here. I know you had to heard that. You see the big trail that goes back. Me and Chris both chickened out from going down that one. All right, guys, I'm going to put the camera away and I'm out of here. See you guys soon.